All right, so this is the animation, the assignment number 9 of Photoshop for the animation. So I'm just starting with a Brooklyn image, and you can start with any other image, like there's the one with the Edinburgh and the other image of Bucharest, I believe. So it doesn't really matter. It's just, you know, there's a few options of like, you know, wet streets, basically. So for this, this particular exercise, we're going to create a rain effect basically from scratch. So we're going to start with the background. We're going to leave it as a background. We're going to create a new layer, and we're going to fill it with 50% gray. So you go under Edit, Fill, and you can go 50% gray right here. Opacity 100%. Perfect. And it's going to be like this. Lovely, right? It completely covers your image. Once you're there, you go under Filter, Noise, you know, add some noise. And here, this is the important part. You have to make sure that you have monochromatic turned on. If you don't monochromatic it, it's multicolored, right? So monochromatic make it black and white only. You can go Gaussian. You can increase the amount for, you know, for higher contrast. Past a certain point, it won't change it, right? So I think past around 60 or so, 65%, it won't change anything. So yeah, let's keep it at whatever, right? Above 65%. Once you have that, you go and blur it just a little bit. Again, you go back to Filter, Blur, and then you're just gonna do blur a little bit, just like that. So it's just a slightly soft, right? Next, again, you go back to your filter again, and then we're gonna do what's called wind. So you have to go under Stylize, Wind, and you have a few options here where you can go blast, stagger, from left to right, etc. So we're gonna do a blast, right? And this is what it does, right? So this is the regular wind, this is the blast, this is staggered, and you don't want that. We don't want the blast because it's blasting, it's a storm. So you hit the OK, and this is what it does. And you run it again because this is still, you know, if that was rain, that would be just way too heavy. So you go again and under your filter and then hit the wind again right there. And then there you go, it goes a little lighter, right? And if you zoom in, you can see some motion basically from left to right. That's the problem with that filter, the wind filter. It goes only horizontally. So you have to rotate that layer, right? So because we want the rain running vertically. So you go under Edit, Free Transform. I'm just gonna zoom out a little bit, and then I'm just gonna rotate it quickly. I'm gonna press and hold Shift so it sticks to 90 degree. And because I'm still in the free transform, I can scale it up, right? I can just, you know, move it, fit it, and then click Enter, and we're good. Now that you have that, you want to reverse the values, right? You want to make everything white, black, and everything black, white. So you just go under, well, again, the shortcut is Command I on the Macintosh, but it's under Values, I believe. I'm trying to remember where, because I don't usually use that stuff. I usually, as I said, I use the shortcut. You know what? You can always search the stuff. Value, no, it doesn't work. Invert, I think that's what it is. Invert. No, that's inverse. Adjustment, invert. There it is. Under Image, Adjustment, Invert. Right there. Image, Adjustment, Invert. I use the shortcut all the time, so I don't remember where they are on the menu. So now that you have this image, and what we're going to do here, we're going to offset it, so to make it basically a seamless pattern, right? So we're going to go under, again, Filter, Other, and Offset. And what that does is when you change your numbers right there, you see you have that seam right in the middle right here, right? So we want to erase that. So you click OK. You want to erase that with the clone stamp tool, right? So you switch to your clone stamp tool right here, and then I'm just going to, you know, pick a target right here and then just clone it right here very quickly. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to be pretty. Clone it again from here, you know, a little bit random, clone it from here. And so you don't have a, like a repeating pattern. So there, now it's seamless. Now what we need to do is we need to turn this layer into a pattern. So you have to go under Edit, Define Pattern, which is right here. And we're going to call that one Rain because we're very original. So now it's a pattern. It's saved in the pattern palette, right? Now what we can do is we can turn off that layer. We don't really need it anymore, but we're gonna keep it. We're not gonna delete it. We're gonna create a new layer, and again we're gonna fill it with a gray again. And it doesn't matter because it will become transparent at this point. And then, so we have those layers, right? So we have, let's call this one Rain. So we know where we're going, and we're going to call this one Pattern. Always name your layers. It's a good habit. Now what we're going to do is we're going to open the timeline palette. So for the animation, and this opens up. So I'm going to try to stick it to the window right here. There it is. Whoa, that's really big. I'm going to reduce it a little bit so we can see what we're doing. Might increase the size of that thing. There you go. So now we need to create a timeline animation. So we're just gonna, you have the option of doing a timeline or frame animation. We're gonna do a timeline. So we're gonna hit the button right there in the middle. And here you have your animation timeline, basically. So for each layer, right, the rain, the pattern, the background, because the background is locked, it's a background. It does not have its own timeline. But each layer will have its own timeline, and this is your scrubber right here. That that basically when you press play, it runs over a 5 second. By default, it's always a 5 second timeline right here, and it's a 30 frames per second by default. And you can see 10 frames, 20 frames, 1 second, 10, 20, 2 seconds, etc. You can zoom in within your timeline just by clicking or dragging the little scrubber right here. Big mountain, small mountain. You can zoom in and you can see as you go maximum right there. You can see frame by frame. So you go frame by frame. So if you want to do something over, let's say, 1/10 of a second, well, 1/10 of a second is 3 frames, right? Let's say a lightning bolt, for example. So just to show you how that functions. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to put that pattern. We're going to turn it into a pattern overlay. So you double click on your rain layer, the one that is 100% filled with gray right there. You double click on that, you get that dialog window, and then you click on pattern overlay right down here. You select that, and there's your pattern right there, right? We're going to change the blending mode. Not the opacity. We're going to change the opacity, right? So right now it's lighten. We're going to change the opacity. Hopefully that's the one that works. I'm going to make it transparent. Let's see. Blending option. No, sorry, it's in the blending option. Not in the pattern overlay. It's in the blending option right here. I'm going to change the opacity right here. Oh, sorry, no, the fill opacity. Sorry. Yeah, geez, the fill opacity to 0. I think that's the right one. There's so many different options. I think that's the fill opacity. And then we're going to expand I'm going to move this up a little bit, expand each of those layers. So you have different options right here. You have those, you can drop what is called a keyframe. So this is your little stopwatch where you can start a position, an opacity, and a style for each of those layers. So right now we're going to do what's called a keyframe for your style right there. So we drop that in right there, right? And this is your pattern overlay style animation. From here, blend screen mode, yeah. And then we're going to move the timeline to the very end. And then again, double click on that, pattern overlay. And then what are we gonna do? We're gonna move this out of the way a little bit. And this is how you move it, how you basically create the animation. This is your second keyframe or in your timeline. So from A to B, basically, you wanna have the animation going. So what you do, what happens is you move your arrow over to your image right there, and then you just drag it. And because it's a continuous pattern, you can just keep on dragging. So within 5 seconds, you wanna have, you know, that much rain, for example. It's going to be a downpour. And then you click OK. So make sure you have also your blending option, the fill opacity, you know. Yeah, click on that. And now as you move it, this is what happens. You've got some animation going on, and it's seamless. So it renders the first time around, it's a little choppy, and then after that it's pretty smooth. So what I want to do now, I want to change to screen. Oh, you know what? I forgot to do that earlier. I forgot to do that in my animation keyframe right there. A pattern overlay right there. I forgot to turn that into a screen right there. That's what happens. I forgot that. So from screen, you can pick, you know, lighten to have it even lighter, which is not bad. I will gonna keep lighten for now. And then my last frame right there, again, same thing. Oops. Right there, it needs to be the exact same thing again. I forgot to do that. So we're gonna do lighten again, or screen. Lighten. Yeah, sure. Now it's transparent. It looks like rain or snow, give or take, right? Depending on the speed you have. That's what happens. Go back to 0. So what you can do now is, let's say you want to have the rain at an angle, right? So what are we gonna do? We're gonna duplicate that layer, your rain layer right there. We're just gonna make a copy quickly, just drag it over to the new layer. We're gonna turn that one off, and we're gonna right click on that layer, not on the layer, on the bar right there, not on the icon right there, but on the bar right there. You right click on it, and you convert to a smart object, right? So again, it's the same thing, but the blending mode again went back to the origin, right? So all you have to do is you change your blending mode to, let's say, screen, right, or lighten, or where we had lighten, and it's the exact same thing. So, but now the animation is built in within that layer, right, within the smart object. So what we're going to do here, see, and then there's no more style timeline like the previous one where we had right here. We had those little keyframes right here. This one is blank because now it's built in. But all you have to do, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. In this particular layer, now what you can do is you can go under Edit, Free Transform, and we're going to rotate it just, you know, just a little bit like this, right? And it's given a bit of an angle like that, and stretch it up a little bit. So it covers the whole screen, or the whole, I should say, image, just like that. And click OK. Now, as you play that animation, now it goes sideways. Just like that, you've got a side. So it takes a little bit of time to render, and now it's nice and smooth. And there you go, it's a downpour in Brooklyn. So in the other animation that I've done, as an example, I had some, you know, text running in the background, right? So this one is slightly trickier, so I'm just going to show it very quickly. So I'm going to create again a new layer just above, I'm going to put it below, below the rain. I'm going to put, I'm going to call it text demo, for example. Right? I'm just going to zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to put some text in there just for text animation demo right there. I'm going to make that a different font so we can see it. Scorched Earth. Ooh, boy, that's rough. I'm going to put a color to it. We're gonna go pick a color from the image right there, like that dark rusty color. There you go, perfect. And I'm gonna make that a little larger, right? This is a terrible font, so I'm gonna change it again. Bungee, sure, there you go. And what we want to do here for this animation is we want to have it starting, you know, from the right-hand side right there and run across like this. So that would be the easiest thing to do, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start it from outside of the frame right here. And my text demo is my layer right here, text demo right there. And then I'm going to do a transform, or in this case, it's a type, so it's a transform. Otherwise, it would be a position. So I'm just going to drop a keyframe in there at the beginning, right? This is my beginning. And then within 5 seconds, it'll go from here, which is on the right-hand side in the margin, all the way to the left-hand side. And all I have to do is I would just drag it right here, press and hold shift so it stays on the same line, right? And keep dragging until it's completely off the screen, like this. And then as you can see, this is what happens. And so that's a basic animation, and just runs across. Text animation demo. So this is pretty, you know, slow and boring. Let it render for a minute. There you go. Now it's a little smoother. But what I want to do, I want to run it between this building and that building as if it was running, let's say, even if it was running through the loop of the bridge right there. So all I have to do is mask it. So I'm just going to zoom in on this one a little bit, right? I'm just going to create a mask right in here, right? So it'll look like it's running basically in the loop and behind that pillar right there. So I have to create a mask in my layer right here, down here, create my mask, and then I just, you know, select this area in my image, give or take. It doesn't have to be perfect right there. That's all I need, right? And I'm just going to fill it with black. So again, I'm in my mask layer, right? So I'm just going to fill it with 100% black. There you go, 100% black, opacity, etc. Boom, done, right? Then I have that tiny little black mask in my layer. So again, if I move the animation, this is what happens. The mask is locked and it doesn't move, right? So I'm gonna start again, play it, and have it running in there. Magic. So you can do the other way around. You can actually move the mask and not the layer. So you can animate the mask instead. And as you can see within my timeline animation down here, I have my transform of the object, but I also have the layer mask position and text wrap and a bunch of other options, right? So you can, you know, modify pretty much anything you want, right? You want to animate the object or you want to animate the mask itself. So, you know, experiment a couple, you know, with a couple of things like this. And what we can do here as well, we can also add an audio track as well. So I already have an audio track in my folder. In my example folder, in the assets folder, we have a car alarm sound effect. We have a thunder effect. So we're going to drop the thunder effect in there. I'm just going to, you know, literally just add audio. And I'm just going to find it quickly. It is in the MacLab, resources, Photoshop, assets, assignment 9, example. Oh my goodness, it's far. Thunder sound effect. There it is, right? And it loads. Okay, there's my sound effect right there, right? So if I play that, there's a lot of crackling. There's a lot of crackling. So of course the sound effect is a little longer than my animation, right? So what I can do is I can just literally just, you know, drag it over here and it'll end right there. And you can add also a fading, right? So you can add all those, you know, preset fading, fade out kind of thing, and it's right there. So right here I can do a fade. I can literally just drag that over, that little icon right there, and then right into my layer right here. And it won't do it. No, there it is. Fade in, fade out. Sorry, that's for images. This is for the sound effect. You click on that little arrow at the bottom right here. This is the volume, the fade in, fade out. So I can do a fade out. And it's going to take, let's say, 0.5 of a second. So 0.5. And then now it'll fade out. Fade out is a little fast, so I'm going to fade it out in 1 second. Oh, not 10, 1 second. There you go. Now that you have your sound effect, maybe you want to add a lightning in there. So a lightning bolt. So let's see. We're going to zoom in to find out which frame it's on, right? So it's right around here. So I'm going to find a lightning bolt image quickly. Lightning bolt, go on Google, search images. There's one that looks okay. Oh, that's no, there's a choice of really good ones. So I'm going to pick, yeah, sure, I'm going to open that one. So back in Photoshop, there you go. There's my my lightning bolt. So I'm just going to move it out, and then I'm going to unlock that guy, and then I'm just going to drag it over to my Brooklyn layer. Here's my layer. It's terrible looking. I'm just going to quickly delete that stuff. The drop shadow there that was in that file. So there's my lightning bolt right there. So I'm just going to put it right in here. I'm going to change the blending mode. Let's see what I can do with darken. Lighten might work. Lighten or yeah, lighten. Yeah, lighten works. Right here, lighten works, and then I'm just going to, again, I'm just going to, you know, mask out so it doesn't hit the buildings. It's actually going to be behind. So I'm just going to quickly select this area right here. Come on, right here. I'm just going to make a quick mask. Fill it with black so it masks it out. And then again, same thing here. I'm just going to quickly go over the building's outline. It doesn't have to be super great. It's just for demo purposes. And then fill it with black. So now it looks like it's in the background, basically. Or it's still in the front of the bridge. So maybe not. So I'm just going to change that to blend that in a little bit better, like this. There you go. Just, you know, lightening it up. And then here's my, in my timeline again, there's my my element right there, my lightning bolt. But my lightning bolt, by default, again, it's 5 seconds long, and this is where my keyframe is, right? So I just want to, you know, reduce it. I'm gonna, there you go, drop it in. So I'm gonna reduce that to match. I'm gonna make that literally super short, right? I'm just gonna drop it in quickly. Wrong spot. And a little fast. So I'm just gonna move it a little bit in. There you go. So let's see. Anyways, after that, it's just a matter of timing. Yeah. To move it to the right spot. Oh, why is this moving? Yeah, I don't know why this was moving at the same time. Aha. Almost there. Well, usually you have lightning and then thunder afterwards. So we're going to put the lightning right before it. It's a little long, so we're going to make it even shorter. I'll zoom in again with my scrubber here. So it's a little fast. So we're going to make it, you know, about 1/3 of a second, and we're going to make it flash a couple times. So what I can do is I can just literally just, you know, press Option and then drag it over, and then I have a second like this. Oh, no, it didn't do it. Ah, come on, work with me, you stupid thing. Duplicate it like this. There you go. Move this back a little bit, make it flash. I'm going to change the transparency of this guy a little bit, so it's not as intense. The second time around is not as intense. So there's the first time, second time we're going to make it opacity. We're going to change the opacity of this thing. All you have to do again, drop a keyframe in there, your second layer, that your lightning copy right there, and then you change your opacity to, you know, I don't know, 65%. And then at the end of that animation right there, your opacity again, drop a keyframe and then put it at 0. Oh, I think I missed the keyframe. There you go. Come on. And put it 25. All it does is like, this is full on, and then this is a little less, and then it fades out, but very, very, very quickly. So it has a, you know, a feel of as if it was, you know, blinking. So these are little extra bits that you can do. You don't have to. The most important part is the rain. So I forgot to turn it back on, by the way. There it is. Poor Brooklyn Bridge gets hit by lightning forever and ever. So you're going to save that. We're going to save that as on the desktop right now. Animation. Sure. But what you need to do now, the final thing, I totally forgot, you need to render it. In your timeline window down there, you have a little arrow right there, and you click on that little arrow, and initialize, there you go, Brooklyn Animation MP4. So that's the format you want, because the format is H.264, which is a web compression. You can go QuickTime, but that's going to make a really, really large file. H.264 has a bunch of presets. So right now, we're just going to keep it in high quality, but you can go medium, low quality, and you have all those different formats for phones, for Apple TV, HD, Vimeo, YouTube, you name it. You can pick all those different formats, but we're going to keep it in high quality because it's an MP4. This is the size of your document, 927 pixels by 1200, which is, you know, it's fine. It'll be good enough for the web. And 30 FPS, so 30 frames per second. And, you know, the rest is pretty much ready to go. So you go, you know, it's going to be on, make sure that you select the right folder, and then you hit render, and it will render that animation as a video. Hold on, I'm recording. So now I'm rendering this video, and the other option that we can do is we can create a GIF animation, which will be also a web format, and we can loop it, right? So for this particular one, you have to go under File, Export, Save for Web, Legacy, and it always takes a minute or so. Oh no, this is why it's fairly quick. And then you pick your preset, GIF animation right there. That's where it's going to take a minute or two. There it is. It's thinking. Come on, work with me here. And to make this particular GIF animation a little smaller, because this is going to be a fairly large one, because it's 927 by 1200 pixels, we can reduce the size as well. So I'm going to wait until my beach ball is done. It's thinking. There it is. So a GIF will reduce the color palette, which is perfectly fine with that. But we're going to reduce the size of it. So we can either do a 50% size, and it'll calculate that for you. 600 by 400. Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's still pretty large, but we're going to make it a little smaller. You can also have looping options. So right now I'm going to keep it on forever. And you can loop it, 1, 2, 5 times if you want, etc., etc. You can preview it. I'm not going to bother with that, and I'm just going to go save. And it's going to save it in the same spot, I believe, on my desktop. Again, it's thinking because it's processing all that stuff and then reducing the format, and so the difference is the MP4 will have the sound effect, and the GIF won't. The GIF, it'll scrub off the sound, right? So there you go, Brooklyn animation, put it on the desktop, save. Takes a minute, and there you have them. So what I'm going to do is, if I stop sharing, unfortunately, I can't show you the videos at the end, because I'm only sharing my my Adobe Photoshop, unfortunately. But they're on my screen right here, and on my desktop, I mean, and they're working perfectly fine. Yeah, so I'm playing right now. You can't see it, but I'm playing the Brooklyn animation in the GIF. So there's no sound, and the MP4 is hidden somewhere else. I have too many things on my. There you go. So if I'm playing the MP4, you will hear the volume. So, and that's pretty much it.